The final week of the PLL season is upon us with games getting underway in Boston in just a few hours. So let's take a look at what several of the leading MVP candidates need to do in their last weekend in order to win the MVP award. The one caveat here is that this is what they need to do while assuming that other players in the conversation don't do what they need to do. Obviously, if several of these guys do it, there's still going to be a debate, but this is just like what each individual player needs to do on their own in order to win the MVP. The other caveat here is that the MVP is a regular season award. Even though they don't hand it out until championship weekend, it is only taking into consideration the regular season games. So making a deep playoff run doesn't matter in terms of who wins the MVP. First up, we have Michael Sowers. He was the leader in the clubhouse early in the season. He's faded a little bit down the stretch. He's still up there involved in it, but he went from kind of being a surefire MVP to one of the guys being considered for the MVP. For Michael Sowers this weekend, I think that he needs to have an above average game, something like 5 or 6 points. But more importantly than that, I think he also needs the Water Dogs to win. The Water Dogs have lost 3 straight, and their one win before that was against the basement dwellers of the PLL in the Utah Archers. I don't know that Michael Sowers' MVP status can really withstand losing 4 straight and backing into the playoffs. So he needs to perform well, and also the Water Dogs need to win in order for him to have a very good chance at winning the MVP for this season. Next up is Liam Entenmann, another guy that kind of in the middle of the season was really being looked at as a top guy, but over the last 2 or 3 weeks has been less than optimal, at least by Liam Entenmann standards. And I think if he's anywhere below 55%, he's probably just about out of the MVP race. The flip side of that is that a 65 plus game will put one hand on the trophy for him. So that is what I think he needs. A 65+% save game with maybe 20 saves would really make him one of the favorites to win the MVP this year. Next up, we have Connor Shellenberger, a player who has really made a late season push to be amongst the MVP favorites, especially since the All-Star game. He has been incredible. For Shelly, I think the thing that he needs to do is extend his points lead over Michael Sowers. So whatever Michael Sowers does, he needs to not just match it, but beat it. He is currently 1 point ahead of Michael Sowers. I think he needs to stretch that lead to 3 in order to really kind of take over a pretty commanding lead and ultimately win the MVP. Somewhat farther back from those first 3 names, we have TD Erlin. I don't know that he really has a chance, but he has come on late after dispatching with Trevor Baptiste and Joe Nardella in back-to-back weeks. I think he is going to have to extend that lead against them. He's going to have another very good weekend, but I also think he's going to need to add maybe 3 points in order to really enter the MVP race as it stands right now. TD is the kind of player that can get hot. He can do it. He can insert himself into the MVP race, but I'd say at this point, it's probably more unlikely that he does that. Since the other kind of favorite names for the season, Pat Cavanaugh and Brennan O'Neill, are not active this week, their races are already run. They have to stand on what they've done. The next name on my list is Jeff Teat. Much like Michael Sowers, I think that he is going to need an above average game. He's probably going to need at least 5 points. The other issue is that he and Connor Shellenberger are on the same team. He currently sits 2 points behind Shelly. So when I say he's going to have a good game and I say he needs 5+ points, that also assumes that Shelly has no points and he can overtake Connor by several points. So for every point that Connor Shellenberger scores, Jeff T is going to need to add to his 5+ total. So if Shelly has 2 points at the end of the game, Jeff Teat needs to have 7. He needs to overtake Shelly. And finally, Graham Hosick, JT Giles Harris, Jack Rowlett, and Gavin Adler. What do they need to do to win the MVP? Well, it's pretty simple. They need to get in a time machine and go back to when they first started playing and knock the long pole out of their hands, pick up a short stick, and play attack, because there's pretty much no way they get into this discussion, no matter how deserving they are, because they play defense. And we all know this is an offensive and at times a specialist award with goalies and faceoffs, but it's pretty much always going to be an attackman or a goalie faceoff, unless we get another Paul Rabel. It might be an offensive midfielder, but if you play defense, we all know it's not coming your way, regardless of whether it should or shouldn't. But that is just what I think each MVP candidate needs to do. Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think each MVP candidate needs to do to wrap up the MVP award.